Why did NASA stop exploring space? In 1969, humanity achieved something that had once seemed impossible. A human being stepped onto the surface of the moon for the first time. On July 16, 1969, the massive Saturn V rocket lifted off from Kennedy Space Center carrying 3 astronauts: Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins. The rocket stood over 110 meters tall and remains one of the most powerful rockets ever successfully flown. For nearly 3 days, the crew traveled through space toward the moon. On July 20, 1969, Eagle touched down safely. Armstrong radioed the famous words, "Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed." Several hours later, Armstrong climbed down the ladder and became the first human ever to walk on the moon. His next sentence became one of history's most famous quotes. "That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind." Soon afterward, Buzz Aldrin joined him on the lunar surface. And then it stopped. No more landings, no return missions for decades. But why? Well, between 1969 and 1972, NASA sent 6 successful crewed missions to the moon under the Apollo program. The United States was in a space race with the Soviet Union, and landing on the moon became a symbol of technological power and global dominance. Government funding priorities began to shift. But each mission was extremely expensive, highly complex, and carried serious risk. At the same time, the United States was facing major domestic challenges and the ongoing cost of the Vietnam War. The Saturn V rockets were retired. Production lines were shut down. The distance between the moon and Earth isn't the nearest. That distance does not make the way there easier because of the supplies you need for the crew members of the spacecraft. NASA made a decision. Instead of continuing moon missions, they would redirect their focus toward other space projects. After Apollo, NASA focused on space stations like Skylab and later on the Space Shuttle program. The goal shifted from simply reaching the moon to building a long-term presence in space. NASA didn't stop going to the moon because it became impossible. The technology existed, the knowledge remained, and the achievement had already proven that humanity could reach another world. Instead, changing political priorities, shrinking budgets, and a shift toward new space programs brought the Apollo era to an end. For more than 50 years, no human has walked on the lunar surface. Yet the moon was never forgotten. Scientists continued to study it, engineers continued to improve spacecraft, and new generations grew up inspired by the Apollo missions. Today, humanity is preparing to return. Through NASA's Artemis program and growing international partnerships, the goal is no longer to simply plant a flag and leave. This time, the mission is to build a lasting presence on the moon, test technologies for deep space exploration, and take the next step towards sending humans to Mars.